Coffee, you too?
Yes, of course,
Of
of course.
course. Always coffee. Perfect.
Bialetti.
Perfect. So cheers with coffee, yeah?
Cheers. Good morning.
Cheers. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to this new episode of Morning Talks. Today, I'm really, really happy to host Biesmans. My friend, welcome. How are you today?
Hello. Hello. Good morning.
All is good in Berlin?
Yeah. Well, as good as it gets. We have like 10 centimeters snow now. Right now, if I walk,
Wow.
if I look out of the window and it's snowing again, and
Nice.
it will be frozen all week. We go up to -12, I think, and it will be a heavy one in the studio today as well.
The first things I always ask is how did you decide to be a part of this electronic music scene? If it was a choice or if it was just a feeling, can you tell about this?
So you want me to go back to the very beginning of it?
Of course. Yes,
It's
nice.
been a while. I mean, I rolled into it like I started like experimenting with music, like producing music when I was 12,
Hmm.
which is like 90. Like I'm from 83, so when I was 12, it was like 95. I was
Okay.
12 or 13, 95, 96, and I started. Playing music first, like DJing. Like I just got this little mixer from a friend of a friend, actually a neighbor, a friend of a neighbor,
Nice.
and this was just like to mix cassettes and the first CD player that I had, I guess.
Hmm.
And at the same time, my brother he came home from school with this music software. He got it from a friend in his class, and
Okay.
it was Fast Tracker too. It's like very old school tracker music thing, and that's where it started.
Fantastic. Okay.
After starting to produce music and I mean making music, this eventually grew
Hmm.
like the classic thing, like playing the first parties and stuff like this. But until I got like first residency in a club, in a local club, and at these times I was playing like quite regularly up to my 20s. I guess I was playing like 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay.
After that, I kind of stopped because it was also like at that moment I was releasing a lot of music
Hmm.
already, but I was a bit sick and tired of this. This was this generic sound these days. That you had the tech house was booming, and it was this loopy type of thing,
Yes.
and it felt all the same for me. I was just not happy with it. I just didn't like it anymore, and I decided to study music. And
Okay.
when I started
Of
to study
course.
music, and this was like the Pop and Rock Academy in Belgium,
Hmm.
my view went like from this to like this,
Yes,
like
of
it
course. I imagine very well.
completely open. Yeah, I dived into to other kinds of music, and I started playing in bands and did even a hip hop project. I did like experimental live stuff, started building
Wow.
my own synthesizers.
Fantastic.
I got really deep into like a lot of experimenting with sounds, like experimenting.
Hmm.
Some, not all experiments were good, but it's like this phase you go through when you're not happy with what you're doing, and
Yes.
it took me quite some time. But like at these 3 years in music school, they were like amazing. They were amazing
Okay.
for me. And then after that, I realized that there was like really nothing in Belgium for me to. There was no industry in Belgium. I was not at the
Hmm.
point where I was breaking through or what was the next big thing. So I just wanted to work in the industry, but there is no industry in Belgium or very
Okay.
little industry. So
Hmm.
that's the point where I decided to move to Berlin, and that was about 2013.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then I moved to Berlin, and I ended up in Watergate as a sound technician, which was initially not my idea of working in the business, but it turned out to be a really good,
Fantastic.
yeah, really good
Yes.
thing. It was really nice also working in this team. You work really close with a lot of artists that got
Of course.
I got to know a lot of people in the scene, and this was my way also in, because it's not easy to get infiltrate in
No,
this scene and to like find your place in this. Where do you start? You know,
of
like this.
course.
I come
Yes.
from a very very small village, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
not even 2,000 people. So it's like going from that to Berlin. It's like, okay, where do I start? Where do I
Yes, of
start?
course. It's very, very hard, these life-changing
Mm,
moments. So, wow, congratulations, because it's very, on dit chapeau en français. It's like, wow.
see. Yeah, no, it was a necessary thing also for me to find that thing in myself. Like afterwards, when like I feel right now that I found my sound a bit, and this is all like coming from separate roads. It's not just like a specific choice or anything. It's like the puzzle falls together right now for
Mm-hmm.
me, and I feel really comfortable and happy with what I do. And this was my main goal in these years and years of searching where I was going, and
Of
now I
course.
really feel happy with what I do, and this is very important for me.
Yes, it's very important. It's the most important, and it's not easy at all to find what we like to do for real. It's,
No,
we search every day. We are in a process, in a life project, and in every moment you learn new things and all this stuff. But find this, yeah, your place with yourself. It's not easy at all.
it's very difficult. I like
Yes.
when I started to search. If you would have told me it would take so long, I would have said like, "Stop! I don't search." It feels for me. I always see myself as a late bloomer, but I just like kind of just want to find my thing where I'm happy in. And if I'm not happy, I will not do it. I will not do anything against
Yes,
my own will. Like this is just built in. I don't do this. I don't do stuff that I don't like.
of course. And it's a feeling. Music, it's a feeling. If we don't do what we really like, don't work. But first for yourself in general.
Yeah.
So totally understand. Thanks for this. All this information is very, very cool
Thank you.
and inspiring. And exactly about inspiration, is it something you find or something that comes to you when you produce, when you start a track? You have some technique about inspiration, or it's very
Um,
spontaneous?
I don't wait for inspiration. I mean, I believe very strong that you have to create these moments, because it's like being inspired can last like so. It's like just a very fragile thing. So yeah, like what I do
Mm-hmm.
is try to create as many as possible options or possibilities to get inspired. I get inspired from all kinds of things, like from a movie or
Mm-hmm.
from a machine, or just like from another track or song, or from a short progression that I hear, like, okay, this sounds really interesting, from some old rock song or something. I said, okay, this let's copy this and let's take it in my studio or
Mm-hmm.
in my context and paste
Of
it in my
course.
context and see if this is inspiring, and can be so many things. But main thing is doing a lot and being consistent, like just go every day, go every morning into the studio. You have to push, create. More creation brings more inspiration. I don't feel like moments, oh yeah, now I feel inspired and now I should make music.
Mm-hmm.
If you would make music that way, or if I would make music that way, it could really take long for me to get an EP or something finished, like it
Of
could
course.
really take months. And then you have, okay, then you need to send it out to like your top labels, and then the top label, it gets back after 1 month, and the second label also answers
Yes,
after
of
one
course.
month, the third also after 1 month. And then you're like, what? Then you're like a year and a half before your music comes out, and that's this
Yes.
one EP. So I don't believe like that you have to wait for that.
Yes, I agree. Sisi, very, very good advice, really, for everyone, I think. Thanks. It's very, very inspiring. And I know that because I see your videos and I know that you have a very beautiful machine in your studio. Uh, you have one gear in particular that you really like, and you like to work more with hardware or plugins, both. What is your favorite workflow?
both. I would say like it depends. I mean, I was always a very big fan of the MS-20 for many years. Like I used the MS-20, and it's also like in my wall, like the big wall in my studio. It's like the
Of
MS-20,
course.
which is drawn on there. Now I'm also using the grandmother, the Moog grandmother, a lot. It
Yes.
kind of changed because like the MS-20 is more like the rough old version from the 70s, and the grandmother is the cleaned up version. Like it's like has all the functions like MIDI and yeah, it's also a monosynth, but it's like a bit more versatile, I think, and
Of course.
it took in his place. So maybe this is right now my favorite. Although the Uno is also very like it's a polysynth, it's a different synth, but the Uno is also something I use
Of
a lot.
course.
To answer the second question, how you start, it's a bit like best of both worlds. Sometimes I just like play one chord on the Uno, and this brings me to somewhere else. You know,
Mm,
like this brings me to okay, up, and I'm doing only hardware. Or some days I just like okay, let's draw a little pattern. I love the Arturia plugins, so I
okay.
use these a lot, and I just start with software and gradually bring in the hardware. Also,
Hmm.
one thing I always do, or like a lot of the times, I have the Model D, which needs to warm up about like 30-40 minutes before I can really have it before the oscillators is stable. So I use the software version first in many projects. So I start
Okay.
with software base,
Hmm.
and when my Model D is warm enough to use, then I kick it in.
Yes. It's
So it's also
perfect.
to tune it. It's good to tune, so you can use the VST to tune like the hardware and
Yes.
everything tune. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's the best of both worlds. I sometimes I feel like more software, but there will always be hardware in there. Always.
Yes. Okay. Because I heard this, but I want to be sure that
Yeah.
what I hear it's exactly what you
The
say.
rumors were true.
And when you decide a track is finished for you.
Uh, yeah, it is. I usually work quite fast, so
Hmm.
for me, it could be finished when I'm like sitting there and like, okay, is there anything I would like to add? If there is anything I don't feel comfortable, like I need to bring it home first. So I
Hmm.
bring it back home and I listen on my small speaker or on my laptop, even like, okay, so away from the studio context, like how does it sound? Are there parts where I'm happy, or are there parts like I'm really not happy with it? Like I usually try to get like the main structure or the
Okay.
main basis on day one or day two. Like usually goes quite fast, and it takes the whole process takes between, I would say, between 2 and 4 days maximum
Okay.
with mixing and everything. And I try not to be perfectionist in this music, like not like, oh yeah, but maybe I can add this little thing there, or like a small thing there, so that keeps it always going. I try not to do that, because otherwise it also will like take a long time, and maybe you're not even like version one. The version one thing is always better than version nine. Sometimes you have this feeling, so I try
You
to
see, of course.
the big picture in the beginning, and not endlessly like reopen and endlessly modify things. Yeah. So I would
Okay.
say when I don't feel the need to add or to change anything, a track is ready, and that's usually around 2 or 3 days.
Nice. It's this is something that I really like to know because everyone is different in this process. It's very particular.
Yeah.
And this approach you have about to be very spontaneous with your work, it's
Mhm.
something that I really admire and I really like. It's very inspiring one more time.
Yeah, it's for me exactly like you said. It's really right, like the spontaneous thing. Like I like to really capture this moment. It's
Hmm.
like making music. It's like making a picture. Like a picture can be like if you make a picture here today, it can be like this white background, but tomorrow
Of
maybe
course.
I painted my walls and it's yellow, and the picture is the same, but the image changes. So
Of
I
course.
like to keep it really like as fast as possible to keep that image,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise my images are going to mix up maybe, and then I end up. In the past, I had this that I like endlessly work on things, and then there is not a real direction anymore. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel for me it works the best if I'm very spontaneous and I can really set out a direction, and this is how I go, and I don't find myself cut in between two things, like, oh, I'm doubting about this or that. No, I need to have a straight direction. This is the route I'm going, and this is how I finish it. Okay. And if I'm getting caught in between things, it's not working for me. This is how it works for me, and it's different for everybody. I know this. I mean, this is just like a personal thing.
Yes. Wow, thanks a lot for sharing this. It's very personal and yeah, many thanks. The last one, an advice for someone that just beginning in music.
It's always the unsexy thing, like just spend so many hours on it. It's like nobody wants to hear it, but
Yes, of course.
like
This is
just
very true. This is
and
true.
this is
It's the
like
same. Yes.
first of all, you have to go through the hours and hours of work on it, but also like keep on challenging yourself. There are lots of tutorials these days, so you have to just dive into it and do it every day. The thing is, for me at least, like if I see a lot of young producers, maybe you do it something you do once or twice in a week, you can never expect to make big progress. It's again doing this mass and being
Hmm.
consistent in everything. If you do everything
Of course.
1, 2, or 3 hours per day, I mean, even after many years, you will learn more and more and more the more you do. So it will be just work. That's the unsexy truth of it.
Exactly. Just work. My friend, it was a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for all this advice and history behind your artistic process. It's very interesting and inspiring. For me first, I hope also for all the person are watching this interview. Everyone, please don't forget to send message, write comments, and very important, go to listen to the work of Biesmans. His last EP just released on Watergate Records, and all his music because it's simply amazing. Thanks a lot.